right, I am excited to start. So I think I'm going to begin and let everyone continue to keep joining. I think we have quite a few with us already today. Welcome to our virtual Women in Motion Roundtable event. My name is Kelly Oberhart, current Women in Motion chair, and I am thrilled with this turnout already. It's amazing to see, and I know that all of you will aid in having powerful conversations surrounding the topics that matter specifically to you. Earlier in the year, Women in Motion released a survey to our membership looking for feedback on what your primary interests were around connecting with a roundtable event like this. And the number one goal was simply networking. So in the next few minutes, you will be randomly moved to breakout rooms where you will meet, reconnect with, maybe get to know new people within the industry and other industry leaders. But hopefully, even more important, get to share your unique individual experience and pull from theirs to leave today with strong takeaways and inspired to try something new, or even encouraged to keep moving forward with your personal career goals. A specific comment received from the survey that stood out to me was, in my opinion, the best way to help women in this industry is to have them tell their stories, which will naturally inspire and give courage to other women. And I could not agree more with that statement, which is why I'm excited to get started today. The topics being discussed were also pulled from that survey and chosen by you, our Women in Motion membership. Leadership and management was an overall theme that was most popular, followed closely by overcoming workplace challenges and a theme around technology, innovations, and how they're shaping our work environments. So today, once you're broken out into your groups, you will stay with your group, get to know your group, and dive into those topics. We are aiming to keep our groups small enough for personalized conversation and to allow for about 15 minutes or so per topic after short introductions within your group. The group leader will assist in capturing the key takeaways from each to share once we come back to our main room. Today's group leaders and moderators are all from your Women in Motion committee, and I want to thank them in advance for making today happen. We have Veronica Corrales, co-chair for Women in Motion from Kotler Elevator Industries. Luani Reyes, secretary for Women in Motion with Authentic Elevator Services. Angie Baldwin with Elevator World. Amy DiPaolo, American Elevator Group. Karen Kennedy Dodds with American Elevator Group. Kathy Forgy from Kone. Vanessa Klein from Kone. And Charlie Meeks with Delaware Elevator. Once we come back, the groups will each have an opportunity to share what resonated within your conversations the most. We're attempting to keep this brief in order to allow the most time during the breakout sessions as possible. All right, enough from me. Now we're going to set those breakout rooms. So hang on, and soon you will be connected. Room leaders from our Women in Motion committee, please start by introducing yourself in order to kick off those sessions. And if I have one last thing to say, it's that we have many voices and different experiences to pull from today. So if I have any advice to offer, it's to be authentic and have fun with it. Thank you all for joining.
Everyone, welcome back. Welcome. I hope so everyone have a great time. What's a short time for us? What's very short? We need to go back. We have everyone back, Lori?
Yes, it looks like we do.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, welcome everyone back, and we want to take a moment to the group leaders to give us 3 minutes of the takeaways. Sorry, the takeaways, and what is the experience in their rooms. So let's start with who want to be first, or I pick? Let's see. Who's Angie?
Start.
I'll go.
Or Vanessa, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Who's going?
Anyone?
Okay.
Anyone
Go
raise
ahead.
their hand? so I
I'll go.
pick?
Vanessa.
No, one of the well, we all knew that topic number 2 was gonna take its own poll. But basically what we talked about a lot, and I felt like was something that kept getting brought up, was just like communication. And one of the biggest ones was mutual respect and mutual expectations, specifically around, the different age groups, like my way of thinking and my way of expecting what somebody should be doing on their day-to-day as a manager isn't necessarily, an expectation that they're feeling, or they might be expecting me as their manager to be acting a certain way. So I think communicating upfront and everybody, knowing what the other person is expecting, can only help the business relationship, and also, ultimately the business and, our clients, just by keeping that always open. And then also just like, as women, right, we're constantly trying to prove ourselves to ourselves and our clients and our coworkers, and, just that it's difficult out there to be a woman in this type of world. And I just think that we're all kind of killing it. And I was really proud of my group. I thought that, we did not stop talking. And it was just really enlightening to know that we are not alone in this. So that's what I got from that.
Thanks. I'll jump in next, Vanessa. We covered almost the same thing about mutual respect and whatnot for communication. So I'm going to glance over that. The first topic about technology, we talked about how COVID changed everything, right? So, and management now overall, although there's some people that are stuck on constantly being in the office every day, but management overall seems to be a lot more flexible about work-life balance and working from home. And there's definitely exceptions to the rule. There's some job descriptions that really have to be in the office, but overall it seems that, the industry in general has moved to a more flexible way of doing business and working, and that managers have seemed to be more flexible. Again, exceptions to that rule sometimes, but and also the remote relationships have benefited from this technology. People that we had Argentinians on our breakout session, or at least one, and she's benefited from the Zoom and the Teams, and so it's made her be able to reach out and talk to more people. Local relationships seem to have suffered just a little bit of the personal touch, and that makes the events that we do so much more important, just to be present and get out there, because people are relating to each other with technology now more than in person. So the in-person events are super, super important. And lastly, on the topic of building a pipeline for the women to the NAEC, the younger generation has expressed that it's not willingness. They certainly are willing to get involved, but maybe they don't know how. Maybe the companies aren't pushing the NAEC or Women in Motion. They'd like something out there so that they could go see some stories of the leadership of the women of the NAEC. So maybe doing some white paper and posting that on LinkedIn for the Women in Motion page, and just giving the stories of our leadership, of the people, of the women that are in leadership at the NAEC and Women in Motion. That will inspire younger generations to get involved more and create more of a pipeline, so that instead of one woman or two women on the board of directors of the NAEC, I believe there's 2 now. Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm the only one that's going to be there next year. So that to me is completely unacceptable. because look at all of us on this call, right? There's definitely needs to be more representation at the highest levels of the NAEC. And in order to do that, we have to make an effort to put our stories out there so we can inspire people to want to do what we've done. So that's the takeaways that we got.
I'd love to kind of jump into and elaborate on what Amy said. My group ended up talking about just the pipeline for women in the industry in general, and how are we going to educate the next generation of women on the elevator industry and make sure that they know how awesome this, this industry is. So we talked about making sure that we get into trade schools and universities and teaching other women about our industry, because without us getting in front of them, how are they really going to know? So I thought that was really important. And we at Delaware Elevator spend a lot of time with the younger generation through junior achievement. And we go into high schools and colleges and are constantly educating people about our industry. And, that's so important for the next generation. It's so important for our business, moving forward, just so we can continue. So I think that's something that we all need to really focus on as we move forward into our lives and our work, is the next generation, and making sure that young girls know that this is such a cool industry to be involved in. And I just love that we talked about that a little bit too. Another thing that really stuck out to me was dealing with other generations, or the older generation than maybe the one that we're working with or whatnot. And someone said that patience, and the willingness to realize that some people maybe won't be able to hop on the same technology that everyone else might be able to. But they said to meet people where they are, and to be kind. And that's so important. Like if someone isn't comfortable texting or Teamsing you and they want to have a phone call with you, just be willing to do that. Hop on that call, and that's gonna make an impact with them. So I think my group was incredible. So thank you, ladies, so much.
Okay, I'll go. So I had a great group too. And a lot of what you've already said is what we discussed too. The one thing about the leadership that we did bring up is sometimes there's even a disconnect with the people that might be working remote and working in actually in the office. And the people working remote might not know what is going on in the office and why aren't you getting this done, but other things are going on. So having an understanding for the different life work balances in both situations as well. With the age groups, it was kind of interesting. We talked about not just focusing on the age groups, but focusing on their strengths, because even though they might be old and not as fast at doing social media or something like that, the old people have their strengths in knowledge and wisdom or whatever it might be. Catherine might have crazy ideas sometimes. So you can't just look at it as an age group, because each person has their own strengths. So bring out the strengths of each individual as, and use those strengths to the benefit of the company. And for the final one with the pipelines, we did talk about mentorship and the role models and, the ability to get women into the industry and into these positions on the board now. And we didn't quite finish talking about it, but also that it might have to come from the top. So someone like Amy, you might need to pull someone in and help them get into the board and show them, so they're not intimidated, because there is an intimidation factor when you walk into a room full of men and there's just Amy there smiling, so helping be a mentor to that. And also we also talked about as women, not to be afraid to put your hand up and say, hey, I find this committee's interesting. Like, I know you might not have any spots, but I might be interested in the future. Or even approaching someone on NAEC, Deanna or whatever, and say, there's not a committee for this, but maybe we can consider that as well. And so getting involved is important, but also sharing the strengths of what getting involved is, the networking opportunities that, how you can actually increase your sales force by getting involved in NAEC and the other committees and the industry in general. So that's what we talked about. So
I'll go ahead. Veronica. Our group, again, I think was excellent. A lot of the first topic was the same as everybody else had. One focus we did have, though, was you really can have better results having a remote team as long as they are really trained for what they're doing and what the expectations are. And you have a way to track those results and have those KPIs out there so that everybody knows what the expectation is. And sometimes that doesn't happen. You're just sent home, you're working remote, you weren't trained, it's harder to onboard and train. That discussion, as we all know, can really be a challenge. And you also do have to have that connection, whether it's a weekly call, weekly Teams calls with your teams, so they're connecting, but also doing a face-to-face, making sure you have a face-to-face. We know it's expensive, it's harder to do, it's harder to get everybody together, but they still have to have that face-to-face connection to make sure we're all staying connected and we know that we're part of that team. The second topic, it led right into the age connection as we knew it would, but one thing that totally set me back from the conversations we had coming up with these questions was there's companies out there that are actively recruiting different age groups to put them all together on a team to work together to see what they can generate and what they do. They want the Gen X's to maybe keep the team reeled in and grounded. They want the millennials to really have their focus. And then they want the Gen Zs to really come up with all the creative answers to the questions, use all the new tools, and then show everybody else how to do it. And it totally changed the way I was looking at it and thought about it. So we had to go back over it because I forgot to write it down because that's just the way I had to think about it. But it really changes it. And when you look at it that way, it changes, I think, how we all think about, well, they can all work together, and we do need to recruit them that way and put them together in those discussions. And the new one coming, I found out from one of my lovely ladies on my group, was it's Gen Alpha, because I didn't know what the new group was, because you're going to have a continuous, there's always going to be a new one coming, and it's Gen Alpha. So the other thing that's different with the Gen Zs when you're working with them a little bit is that they are more work-life balance. They may not want to put in the extra 20 hours a week that somebody else on your team may have done back when they first started, because that's what was expected to get that promotion. They're going to do the 40 hours, but they're going to do their 40 hours and work hard and still expect that same balance. And they also want to know when you're hiring, when they're interviewing, what is the career path? What are the goal steps? Where am I going to be in 6 months, a year? And what do I have to do to get there? So as a manager, you tend to have to be more upfront about what are those expectations, where's the checklist to track them, but everybody knows what's going on. You're upfront about it. You have that list. And as a manager, it helps you a little bit too, to help them get to that part. And then for the third topic, we didn't really have much time left because we kind of went over the other one a lot. And the biggest thing, I think, is what you guys have talked about too, is just to get involved. If you see something you're interested in, ask somebody who's on the committee. Even if you're a little unsure, ask somebody who's been on that committee, or just don't be afraid to get involved. Ask anybody who's on an NAEC or in Women in Motion. Hey, I'm kind of interested in that. I'm not sure how to get started. And even if I don't know, I know somebody who is, and I'll introduce you to somebody who is or who's doing it. So that's just to ask and to get more involved. That was all for our group.
Okay, so room number 6. Basically, in the first topic, we have a great team that they were participating. And in the first topic, they were talking about basically the way that technology has changed the way that we overall operate. Although not everyone in the room has people working remotely or has to go through that experience, some of them have taken advantage of these changes that the technology has brought, especially connecting with new customers and becoming more efficient, because through the online meetings, they have helped them to reduce costs in their businesses. The second topic is like a recap, managing the different generations. Managing the different generations, we all agree that we have to understand our audience and create ways to receive feedback from the employees and keeping them informed, build models, behaviors, and react accordingly, managing the expectations and adapting to them, educating and teaching the generations on how to handle how to handle those expectations, and building an ownership mentality in all the personnel. Basically, when you build that owner mentality, will help all your personnel to connect through that and try to fight for the same goal. And on the third topic, building the leadership pipeline for women, and we were talking about create teams to support each other and create sub-teams, subsections that share same like HR, accounting, to share experiences and help each other to funnel more people to the NAEC organization. We can basically invite more women to the industry and to join the organizations and encourage them and support each other within it.
I can go next. With number one, the technology changing leadership, I think our biggest takeaway is managing people is the hardest role to do remotely. It can be certainly done very well, but you have to have intentional meetings in person, remotely, and even social meetings. This will help keep the team together, help keep you on the same page. And that seemed to be a lot of what was happening in my group. People were remote, a lot of them. And it did seem that going to industry events is very meaningful, because you connect not only with people in your own company, but those outside. So having some social time is important when you're remote. Number two, we had a lot of discussion that I thought was just terrific about leveraging learning. So an older generation teaching a younger generation about certain things in the business, say finance, when maybe the younger generation can teach the older generation about technology, but to kind of have it be organic to a certain extent, but to use the expertise that you have there in a way to kind of unify the company too. As far as building a pipeline for women and creating leadership roles for women, a big topic was that within companies, it really needs to start from the top down. CEOs need to really be a part of this conversation and leading it, and really intentionally having genuine intent and wanting women in those roles. And as far as within the NAEC or even within the industry, with this group, even to get men involved, so it doesn't become, it becomes more inclusive. They see what we're doing, they're on board, and it seems like that might be most people think the way to go. Those were our biggest takeaways, I think.
For my
Yeah.
last.
Yeah. I was someone.
A lot of what I've heard was said in our room too. We had a great group. But just to add briefly to it, we were speaking not only about the different generations with technology, but also women in general, and how, when you came into this industry or started working, before being married and having kids, it was black and white. You either went back to work or you had kids and you stayed home with your kids. Whatever route was best for you, that was the route you went. But this, I guess, transition with working from home since COVID has left it a little bit, presented a gray area where it doesn't have to be one or the other. And we don't necessarily have to give up our career to have the family anymore, and we don't have to give up the family to have a career. We can try to figure out how to do both and do both well, because a lot of the times you didn't think you were doing one of aspect the best you could. So it's opened opportunities as far as work-life balance between being a mom, a wife, and a professional. As far as the younger generation, and the second portion, couple of comments that I think were really important to repeat is that a a lot of people have found that the younger generation is more comfortable with advocating for themselves. And advocating for salary or work conditions or, you know, things that they think they deserve and want in a place of employment, where that wasn't the case for females in the past. And I know I'm making generalizations here, but I think a lot of people on this call understand. Sometimes we were taught or told to keep our head down, keep quiet, and appreciate what you have, versus now people coming to the table and saying, I want X, Y, and Z, and they're given these things. And so it's opened opportunities as well as professionally push forward people's careers at a much what's the word? Much accelerated pace, I guess. We were also discussing about how the younger generations typically don't stay at companies, so you don't typically have those loyal employees anymore that will stay with you for generations, that you're, you know, having retirement parties for. So it's a different approach as a manager and as a business leader. One, to be prepared that not everybody will stay with you, so to always have a backup plan. But to understand that approach as well, where you have to provide opportunities for people to stay with you. And it's just the nature of the beast at this point, because there is a ton of opportunity out there for people. And for the third part, as far as the pipeline, I think I'm just reiterating stuff that has already been said, but the biggest takeaway was that having management promote committees like Women in Motion and the NAEC, and giving them access, just even forwarding emails to promote these types of things is paramount. And word of mouth and encouraging not only managers in your place of business, but also admins, professionals, mechanics, helpers, whatever it is, to join and participate. That's all she wrote.
So we completed. You're the last one, Karen. Yeah, you were the
I think so.
Do you lose? Yeah. Can you hear me? I think
It was the
yeah,
last
okay,
one.
okay. Sorry, my connection is a little bit. I hope so. Oh, okay. So now we're gonna have we are planning as a Women in Motion. We want to have an event after the convention. That will be an informal happy hour. Invite all the people that want to join us, a virtual happy hour, informal happy hour. And Lori's gonna make a poll right now so we can vote. Do you hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we can all vote and see if you want to be part of this. If you're interested in doing this after the convention for our next meeting.
Wow, they're still coming in, but there's a clear winner.
Right.
All right, I'm going to share the results now.
Yes. So we are doing that virtual informal happy hour. That's great.
It's with real drinks or fake drinks.
Whatever you want.
It's
Just to be
BYO, so nobody
prepared.
else has
Real
to leave your
prepared.
home.
Ashley, can I go to wherever you are? We'll just do it together.
Oh, perfect. Oh, yeah, definitely. Actually, I have some drinks here in the office. We are set.
So now we want to share the next upcoming events that we're going to have in the NAEC convention in Atlantic City. We're going to have two events. The first one is going to be on Monday, September 23rd, 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. This will be held in the Sheraton Atlantic City in the Pearl Ballroom. We're going to post it on the group, and then we're going to send emails also announcing all of you. It's they're going to be we're going to do this in conjunction with the LE group and from from Canada, both group of the women's from the elevator industry. The SICA's women group will be with us, and both groups we're gonna get together. It's gonna be a networking and ice breaking. I think so. We're gonna have a champagne, Laurie, or a
Yes,
happy
there will
hour.
be champagne. Yeah, there will be champagne.
Yes. So we're gonna have that, and we're gonna have a network activities, and we'll be. The second one, we're gonna have it on September 24, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the Atlantic Convention Center in Exhibit Hall. We're gonna talk about the succession planning and where the attendees will gain insight on creating succession plans to prepare your organization for successful future. So we're gonna have a panel that we're gonna talking about the succession planning, and from people from the industry. Will be a great opportunity to talk about that, and great people that are gonna talk about that in the panelists will be amazing.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for participating. This is the first time we've ever done an event like this for roundtables, and I personally, I was telling the committee earlier, I was so nervous about this, but it seemed to work very well, and I think it's going to be something that that we'll do in the future for sure. And we're recording this, so we will have that on YouTube for others to be able to, if you all want to view later, or for people that weren't able to make it. So we hope to see you all in Atlantic City in just 7 weeks. So again, thank you all for coming.